Warning: the Atari Creep YouTube channel is intended for a mature audience. Regardless of the subject matter, this video may contain strong language, simulated violence, and lots of psychological nudity. Viewer discretion is advised. Oh, we can't have that. He's all crooked. Oh, well, what are you going to do? What's up, creepers? And Geekers Christie, Atari Creep. How is everyone doing today? You know, I absolutely hate making this video. But I'm obviously making it. So, you know, take it for what you want. This isn't going to be a bash on Pat and Ian. We've already spoke my piece about my feelings towards them. You can go back, figure that out, or whatever. Not even subscribed to them. I'm not even subscribed to them. Nor do I give a shit to be. But I was messaged by a buddy of mine, and he says, hey, look, you know, I know you don't listen to them or anything, but at this specific point, Ian has a couple of points that I think you, of all people, I don't know what the fuck that means, should be able to put some insight into it. And, you know, I'm not going to lie, whenever I talk about these guys, the clicks get heavy. You know what I mean? So there's a little bit of clickbaity thing going on here. But Ian does say something very interesting. And I would like to address it. So hopefully all the sound levels are good. Let me switch a few things around here so it doesn't echo as bad.
What's interesting, and I know even at a base level, if you look at something like what the Chameleon was intending to do and what the Amico is intending to do, there are slight differences, but not enough for the amount of people that we saw who were vitriolically against the Chameleon,
or at least were level-headed to see what it was trying to do.
That suddenly started falling over themselves to promote the Amico.
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there. We'll continue on. So, they were talking about... First of all, they talked about the glory days of the Coleco Chameleon, how they're coming up on 5 years since the last discussion of it on their channel or whatever. And I don't know how true that is. Nor do I give a shit. But they're they're comparing the two, but wondering why one thing is one way and the other thing is the other way. And in itself, I think kind of answers its own question. It really does answer its own question. And even he said that the Coleco Chameleon was different enough. And why are people who were skeptical and waited to see what happened with the Coleco Chameleon versus the Intellivision Amico and people jumping all over themselves, falling all over themselves for it? Well, look at the timelines. Okay? The Coleco Chameleon did its thing. First of all, it came out as something completely different. Disappeared. They got the Coleco name. They came back. There's plenty of information out there if you want to look into it. I got a whole playlist. I'm not going to talk about it. But when they finally started coming out with things after just doing stupid shit like selling limited edition shells of the Jaguar, because they owned the tooling for that, they came out with a physical thing that was proven to not be what it was supposed to be. In fact, it was fraudulent. It was they just took the board from an SNES Mini or Junior or whatever you want to call it, not the plug and play thing that Nintendo put out, but an actual second generation SNES, if you will, and they jammed that into the Coleco Chameleon and tried to pull the wool over people's eyes. Shortly thereafter, they showed a board of their console, which turned out to be, I believe, a capture card, and people fell all over it. Were just like, or fell away from it, I should say. Now look at the timeline of the Intellivision Amico, and I think that's the major difference here. And I'm not trying to sit here and say he's stupid for his question. It's a very good question. Look at the timeline. You know, the Intellivision Amico was announced. Intellivision was announced that they were coming out with something. People's ears perked up, as they do. They do mention nostalgia is a powerful drug, and there are probably a good handful of people who are into the Amico mainly because it has the Intellivision branded on it. And there's nothing wrong with that. Not even a little bit. If that's how people want to roll, then fine, fuck it, whatever. Look at Pat. The NES, Nintendo. Don't collect anything just because it has that big shiny N on it. So, but regardless, so the announcements come out, then the announcement of the name and what he wants to do and all this stuff. people were still like, they were excited. They weren't falling all over themselves just yet, but they were excited. They wanted to see more. And even though, think about it, even though after we had a debacle like the Coleco Chameleon, people were still willing to give it a shot, give it a chance. Let's see what's happening. And then they presented themselves with the opportunity to let certain individuals actually try out the console. Now, what stage that specific console was in, I can't tell you, because I wasn't one of the lucky ones to actually sit there and physically play it. But some reputable people here on the tubes of you have all stated they tried it, it's a real thing, and they had fun doing it. That's the difference. I believe once that happens, okay? Now think about it. For the longest time, I was pretty much the only fucking dude on here yapping about the Amico. And whenever something would come up, I'd be on it. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, these fucking people came out of the woodwork. I mean, they were coming from everywhere. There were channels developed specifically just for the Amico. Do I think a lot of this is excessive? Of course I do. But you know what? I'm not going to begrudge anybody for their enjoyment. If they want to have a dedicated space to talk about this one thing, God bless you. Do it. But looking at the timeline, like I was just saying, that the fucking timeline was after a lot of things had already been proven by some reputable people. Is there still a risk involved here? Of fucking course there is. None of us truly know, with the exception of the individuals who played it, and even they still can't say anything as far as truly knowing what is to be expected, because, you know, that's the future. We're not there yet. There's still a lot of obstacles and hurdles for the team at Intellivision Entertainment to hurdle over. I don't think they'll have a problem meeting the 10/10/21 deadline. I had no doubt in my mind that April was going to be unreasonable. It was going to be unreasonable. But it's the timeline. It's the timeline you have to look into. And it's when people started getting a little more confidence that they started falling all over it. And that's when that big surge of popularity kicked in. Yeah, there was already a base for it. There was already a base. The hardcore television cats. People like me. And you know what? I'm not going to lie. I was excited for the Coleco Chameleon when it first was announced. What was it called? It was called like the VGS or something like that, wasn't it? The Retro VGS. I should fucking know this shit. I covered it extensively. But I don't care enough to remember. It's gone. It's over with. Pat, you can't live off of that fucking gravy train anymore. It's gone. I'm sorry to hear that. But I was hopeful for something like that. Which leads into their next question.
At the end of the day, the same questions are asked about both consoles. Who is this for? Are we solving a problem? Are we creating a solution to a problem that doesn't exist, etc., etc.?
Who is this for, and are we solving a problem? Well, I'm going to say we're not really solving a problem. I know Tommy aims to do that for cats like me. I got Ghostbusters for the Nintendo Switch for my birthday from my missus. And though I know I'm going to enjoy it the best I can, I still can't do the double thumbstick thing. I can't do it. The double thumbstick thing, and then you have the trigger buttons, and you gotta fucking map this out to shoot this to get the fucking thing to do the thing, and then that thing has to happen with this button. I can't do it. And there's a fuck ton of dumb fucks like me who just can't do that shit. Now, I am not attaching myself to the Amico because of a nostalgia thing. Sure, it is a nostalgic kick for a lot of us, but for me, it's more so a new product that's going to be developing new entertainment for the type of shit that I want to do. So I answer the question, who the fuck is this thing for? It's fucking for me. It's for me. And it's for a whole bunch of cats like me. Now, whether or not that's enough to sustain a company, I don't know. And hopefully it's intended, and you can make fun of that all you want. Its intended market latches onto it, and I don't see why it wouldn't. It's going to be a very niche thing within those specific things. But I know a bunch about where it's going to be promoted and how it's going to be promoted to where I think it has a great chance of success, but we're not here to talk about that. We're talking about who is this fucking for. 2,600 consoles sold out in, what, about a day? 2,600. Just like that. Something that didn't truly exist yet. Who is this for? It's for all those fucking people. Now, sure, there are probably a couple that got like 2 or 3 of them, and they're going to capitalize on the scalpers market. But I'm going to say probably the good percentage of those fucking people bought it because they want to jam on it, like me. Who is this for, and are we solving a problem? For me personally, yes, it will be solving a problem. It'll be solving the problem that I am too dumb to play modern consoles. I want something new. I want to experience something new. Now, okay, before you chime in with the whole, well, you can play Astro Smash, and it's just going to be a prettier version of it. That's true. But there are also going to be other titles on there that'll be new. And there's going to be a lot of titles on there that already exist that will be new to me, like Bomb Squad. I have never played that for the Intellivision. I've never played that. But the new version of it looks a little more accessible to me and looks a lot more fun. You're incorporating the actual machine into the gameplay. How can that not be fun? But regardless, I'm not going to sit here and try to convince you to want to enjoy this thing, to root for it, to not root for it. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to address these two simple... I'm not even going to watch the rest of this. I went right to this point, listened to those 2 questions, and said, that's exactly where I'm going to stop. If you look real quick, I'm not even subscribed. Let me say I'm not even subscribed. I only came here because I was asked to address a few things. And there's a few things that I'm not going to address that I was also asked in that same email correspondence. So, Ian, you kind of answered your own question by asking it, you know. What's the difference here? You know, people were very skeptical, and they waited on this, and then this, they're falling all over. Well, they waited. And then the positive news came out, and now they're jumping all over it. And again, look at the timeline. Look at that timeline of when things really started heating up. The OEB Pete's and the Jeremys out there. And, you know, the Retros and everybody. I can't think of everyone's name, and I feel bad now that I can't. Because I haven't had enough fucking coffee. And that's really all there is to it. That's my take on it. And is it solving a problem? For me it is. For me it is. And you know, that's fucking good enough for me. If you don't want the thing, that's fine. I don't give a shit. If you want to make fun of somebody for wanting something, if you want to make fun of somebody for making a purchase, and Pat even said something to the tune of they're purchasing these things against their better judgment or whatever. Well, fuck you. Fuck you. That's a shitty way to look at it. It really is. And that's what makes you guys scumbags. Okay, so maybe I ain't going to pick on them a little bit. But I want to know what you think down below. I'm pretty sure I'm going to know the answers and whom those specific answers are going to be from. But I always like when people chime in. Just don't be a dickhead. Your opinions are fine. Yay or nay on the whole thing. Just don't be a dickhead about it, and we can have a conversation, and it'll be grand and groovy. Guys, thank you always so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I hate having to come up here and talk about these two fucking dinks. But Ian actually posed a very good question, and I wanted to address it in my own personal way. See what I'm wearing? The 2020 Alzheimer's Walk. We're that close from jumping on the 2021 campaign. I'm going to start looking for sponsors to put on a t-shirt again this year, done by Ryan D Designs, and they'll be over in my was it TeePublic I use? I don't even remember which one I use. I very rarely do anything with it. People ask, hey, do you have any t-shirts? All right, I'll put a few up. Here you go. And they were successful when they first went up. Now they're getting stale and old, and I'm not about making new ones just for the sake of selling some shit. If you want to buy something, I got the dust sleeves for dust covers for your Atari 2600 and anything compatible in my Etsy shop. That's down below. So, I don't know. Let me know what you think, guys. Thank you always so much for watching. I hope you're doing well. Happy Monday. Yes, I'm recording this the same day I did the Ghosts and Goblins. Because that's just how we roll over here, guys. I hope you're doing well. I really do. And until next time, take care. Creep it real. And bye-bye.